First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, this is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining us. We live stream here out of the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom every weekday starting around 1 p.m. I always like to remind everybody of that, but you can watch all of our episodes whenever you want to, live or not, at the Fox 12 Oregon YouTube channel, kptv.com, and of course, on the Fox 12 Oregon apps. For this segment today, though, we are talking to NASA, in particular, Dr. Sabah Bucks, a technologist with NASA, talking about the 4th annual competition, the Power to Explore Student Challenge. So this is something where students from across the U.S., K through 12, are encouraged to apply, to submit their application. We'll explain what all that is during the segment. Well, Dr. Bucks will, and we'll go through all of that. So it's a pretty interesting thing. There were a couple of semifinalists from the Northwest last year, but this is open for everybody right now. So if you want to find out about this, you definitely want to follow along with this interview right here. So let's go ahead and go to it. Doctor, thank you for joining us here today. I appreciate it. I am a huge fan of NASA on a personal level, and always love talking to anybody who works there just about the amazing stuff that you do. And we're clearly going to be talking about this competition as well. But to that first part, could you please tell us about your role there at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory?
Sure. Well, I am a technologist at NASA's JPL. So we're located in Pasadena, California. As a technologist, my job is to develop technologies to enable future missions. So think of the scientists as coming up with the missions, and they really want to go somewhere in the solar system. The engineers make the spacecraft, but once you get there, how are you going to do what you want to do? And that's what a technologist does, is we develop technologies.
Wow, that sounds very fun and fascinating. I'm sure every day is kind of a different adventure when you're doing something like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Always a challenge, and depends on where you go in the solar system. It's always a different challenge. So that's what makes it exciting.
Did you know that this was something you wanted to do all along, or did you find yourself on this path once you started studying it?
I've always loved NASA ever since I was a little kid. So, each step of the way, I was like, I wonder how can you get to NASA? And eventually my career lined up, and here I am. So I love my job.
That's so cool. Well, let's talk about this competition. So can you tell us what this is for anybody who hasn't heard of it before?
Sure. So this is the Radioisotope Power Systems program office, and this is called the Power to Explore. The goal is that we want to reach out to students in the kindergarten to K-12 age group, and we're asking for students to, come up with a mission to any moon in the solar system and let us know why you want to go there and what you would want to do there. And how would you use radioisotope power systems to enable your mission? Another new factor that we're doing this time is actually we'd like to hear from the students what their unique superpower would be. So I'm really looking forward to reading that and hearing from the students as to what they want to do in our solar system.
Yeah, that's a lot of things for them to factor in and think through. And I mean, I know this isn't the first year of the competition. On average, or guessing, how many submissions does NASA get for this?
That's a good question. It ranges every year. So this year, one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to increase the participation, but we've had hundreds of entries from all over the U.S. And so really encourage, students from kindergarten through grade 12 to apply and dream up of their perfect mission.
And why is it important for NASA to reach out to this age group?
I was one of those kids. And so,
Really?
we're looking at our future engineers and our future, space explorers. And so, getting kids excited about space, getting kids excited about, STEM and education, this is where it starts. And so, it's, I call it going down the rabbit hole, right? It's like you start getting interested now, even in our own moon, where there's so much we don't know, right? We've never been to the dark side of the moon, really. So much to explore and just to get kids engaged. And who knows, maybe in 10, 20 years, they might actually be leading the mission to go to that place.
Right. Well, I've got to ask you just how it feels. You mentioned, when you were a kid, you were always a fan of NASA. Like going through that, there you are. Now you're helping develop technology for NASA and now helping these younger kids who may get interested in it. Like, how does that feel to be in that role?
It's awesome. It's a fantastic, kind of circle of life in some senses. No, it's a fantastic experience to inspire the future regarding NASA and exploration.
Do you have any advice for some of these students out there who are going to be applying, like maybe some things that are tips and tricks or things they should be thinking about while they're applying?
Yeah, so definitely. So there's a few main things that we're looking for. Number one is the use of radioisotope power systems. So, beyond Jupiter, you really can't use photovoltaics or solar cells. So, really looking outside of the box, there are 600 moons in our solar system alone, in addition to our own moon. So, look at other planets and their moons. And then how we would use radioisotope power systems to enable those missions, as well as what they would want, what would they would be, what would their superpower be. So that's a new addition that we're doing this year, and we would love to hear about, like, what the students' superpower would be that would help them achieve mission success.
And when you're talking about RPS, can you give us a little bit more of a definition of that and explainer of what that is?
Yeah, sure. So RPS stands for radioisotope power systems. So what that means is that we're using a radioisotope. So in our cases, we use plutonium-238, and it's just a heat source. And that heat source is used to convert heat into electricity. So at NASA, we pretty much use either solar cells for our missions, or we use RPS. And RPS is typically used when you have dusty climates. You're too far away from the sun, so there's not enough solar energy, is when we baseline RPS technologies.
So if they're picking one of those moons that's further out, this would be definitely very important.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And also depends on what you're doing. Yeah.
That's true. Now, for the competition itself, you mentioned that it's kindergarten through 12th grade. It seems like there might be more of an advantage for some of the older kids, but I could be wrong on that. And I know that there's a lot of ways that people can participate in this.
Yeah, absolutely. So the participants are from kindergarten to grade 12. Of course, teachers are welcome to help out, parents are welcome to help out, but it's an individualized entry, 275 words max. And last year, just for an example, we had a second grader that won the competition. So, encourage the younger kids that, hey, you can also do it as well.
Nice. So yeah, there really is something there for everybody to participate. It's definitely worth applying for. And one other thing I want to clarify too is you mentioned the superpower thing. Like, what kind of superpowers are we talking about?
Oh yeah. So in terms of superpowers, so it's a superpower to help your mission. So you can be like super resilient. You can be like, okay, I can problem solve, or I can 3D print something on the fly. Whatever you would want it to be, or like my mission is just going to have power forever, or I have wings, so things like that. So whatever you want it to be.
So completely up to the imagination on how you want to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
If you were to choose, which moon would you say is for yourself? If you were in this competition, which moon would you choose?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many, and they are so unique. There's right now we just launched mission to Europa. Europa is one of Jupiter's moons. So Europa has an ice shelf, but a liquid water ocean beneath. So we're very excited at NASA to find out what mysteries Europa has. Similarly, there's Enceladus that has these geysers, liquid geysers. Io has these active volcanoes. I mean, it's really wild when you start digging into it, of what the moons have and how they all are unique. And it really kind of drives the question of okay, well, how did these planets develop? And what other mysteries are out there, and what kind of science is different on these non-Earth bodies. So it's really exciting. So there's tons of moons. I can't pick one.
Fair enough. I am very excited about that Europa mission, though. Yeah, that's so cool. Well, anything else that you think is important for these kids out there? Because I do want to let them know how they can go about this, just to reiterate how they can go about applying and being a part of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's more information on our website. So you can either just Google Power to Explore competition, or you can go to the nasa.gov.rps website for more information. And they'll also find more information on radioisotope power systems. Of course, researching moons in the solar system. So there's over 600 of them. So pick your favorite one. Even our own moon has its own unique properties and characteristics, and so much more that we need to explore. So that's also fair game. And, you know, to think about like what you would do on those moons. And like if you had a superpower, what would be your superpower? And of course, to just have fun.
And I think the other thing I forgot to mention here or ask about is what does the winner get? How does that
Oh, right.
competition side of it work?
Yeah, absolutely. So there'll be three grand prize winners in the different age group categories, and they will win a trip to NASA Glenn Research Center in Cleveland, Ohio. They will also have a virtual session with a NASA RPS expert, and we'll meet with them and talk to them, and answer any questions that they would have, whether not NASA or space exploration or RPS.
Nice. Well, that is quite the grand prize. So good luck to everybody out there who's going to be participating in this. And Doctor, thank you for having time to talk to us too about this. I really appreciate
Of course.
it. You're working on some, I'm sure, amazing things, and really love following along with what everybody at NASA does there. So just thankful to have you here on the show.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right. So again, really appreciate the doctor joining us to talk about that, and you can enter that competition. Well, if you're a K through 12 student from the U.S., you can enter that competition, so definitely take a look at that. And they are looking also for volunteers to help judge some of the competition, so there's a way to apply for that as well on the NASA website. This is Fox 12 Now. As I mentioned before, we live stream here out of the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. We cover a wide range of topics, as you can note on our YouTube page, which is the Fox 12 Oregon YouTube channel, or the KPTV.com under the Fox 12 Now tab, or the Fox 12 Oregon apps. Those are all great places to find our different segments and interviews that we do. If there's ever breaking news between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m., this is also a place to go. So I will have that for you as well. We do have more coming up throughout the afternoon, so I will be back. But for now, I'll talk to you later. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.